Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to the panel. I'm going to echo some comments from Mr. Marchant, and those comments are to read to you a real letter from a real person from Western New York that's dealing with this situation. Last week I received from Victor Tirana in Jamestown, New York, a small town in my district, who is the owner of a local coffee shop at Tim Hortons, sharing his frustrations with me as a small business owner who is trying to keep his restaurant afloat while doing the best thing for his employees while complying with the maze of regulations coming out of Washington. He writes, "Dear Congressman Reed, as a hard-working restaurateur, I am writing to urge you to work in a bipartisan way to address the challenges me and restaurant operators like me with the Affordable Care Act, the definitions of full-time employee, applicable large employer, and the automatic enrollment provision. The health care law has a particularly profound impact on the restaurant and food service industry. Our businesses are labor-intensive, with low profit margins, with a workforce that is young and mobile, while employing a significant number of part-time and seasonal employees. Due to these characteristics, the law is more difficult for restaurants to comply with than many other employers. It is critically important that the law's definition of full-time employee be rewritten so that it is more in line with the current employment practices and reflects my workforce's needs and my employees' desires for flexible hours. If not addressed by Congress soon, disruptions to the workforce could and will occur, and flexible work options for employees will begin to disappear in my operation. The definition of large employer under the law is based on a complex 12-month calculation to determine whether an employer has 50 or more full-time equivalents, a calculation unique to this law and not easily implemented in large shift work environments. The annual calculation is unnecessarily complicated and sweeps millions of small businesses into its reach. Those on the cusp of the threshold must closely track their status, which increases small businesses' compliance burden. Congress should act to simplify the determination who is a small or large business under the law. Thank you for considering these issues. That's a real person. That's not some made-up issue. That's not some made-up fact or anecdotal case. That's a real person that is dealing with this law today. And that resonates with me. And it's not just the definition of full-time employee. It's the compliance cost. As a small business creator myself, prior to when I came to Congress, to comply with these mandates, to comply with these regulations takes real time. It takes real money. It takes a lot of stress as an owner of a small business. This gentleman employs 120 of my friends, neighbors, family members, and he is reaching out to me and telling me, you have to do something. So I get a little frustrated when I hear colleagues on the other side of the aisle say this is not really an issue. It's not something that needs to be dealt with, that we're trying to blame everything under the sun on the Affordable Care Act. That's not the case. I care about these people. This isn't fair. These are real people that are business owners that have gone out there, risked their livelihoods, are employing real people, and those people that are employed, just do a calculation. In New York, we have an $8 an hour minimum wage. So let's assume he takes his employees and goes from 40 hours a week down to 30 hours a week, just to comply with this situation he's dealing with on a day-to-day basis. That's $80 less each week they are taking home, and about $350 each month. I don't know about you, but there are a lot of people in my district that are struggling. And when they get impacted by losing $350 a month because of some policy out of Washington, D.C., well, that's frustrating. So I guess I will turn to you, Mr. Treiwine. You represent a lot of people in the retail industry. Is what Victor is explaining to me and reaching out to me for help, is it real, or is he just making this up?
Unfortunately, Congressman, it is very, very real. And the concerns, I spent a lot of time trying to help my members understand what the various requirements of the Affordable Care Act, when they need to start worrying about them. You know, this issue of counting variable hour employees in January, I'm sure there are still companies who are not aware of that and then will be foreclosed from having as much as a one-year look back. But a lot, to your point, their stock in trade is not health care. You know, they want to run their business, they want to run their restaurant, and their compliance burden with this is tremendous. So figuring out if they're lucky, they've got a licensed insurance agent who can kind of lead them through this, but the complexity of the different requirements are continuing to pile up, and they are not happy with that compliance burden.
Thank you. With that, I yield back.